Thank you. My name is Douglas Ramseur, Douglasramseur, lead counsel for Mr. Matthew in this case. This is Catherine Jensen, Katherinejensen, and Michael Hemenway, Hemenway, counsel for Mr. Matthew in this case. We just want to say this is obviously not a day for celebration for any side here, but we're happy that both sides were able to reach a resolution that everyone can live with and look forward to the healing that hopefully will happen going forward in the future. And I'm available to take any questions if you have any. Yes, sir.
Did the families learn what happened to their loved ones specifically?
I'm not sure what conversations they've had with the prosecution. You'd have to ask them. And we haven't had a discussion with them specifically about it, so I couldn't tell you.
Did Jesse Matthew give any indication as to why he was ready to plead guilty to these charges? Why now?
Certainly, it was important for Mr. Matthew, I think, that for everyone involved in this case, that there finally be, I think, some resolution so people could start to move forward. He made the decision for himself that it was appropriate to reach a conclusion in these cases. We've been working on a vigorous and robust defense for him for some time, but I think it was important to him that he give some closure to all the people who've been affected throughout.
What does he want to say? We know he didn't talk in court. What does he want to say? What would you say for him?
He had me express for him in court how terribly sorry he is for everything that's happened here, how much he loves his family and is sorry for everything that they've been put through because of this.
Did he ever give any reason why he did it?
I'm sure you can understand this was a very emotional day for everyone, and in the interest to make sure that his message was communicated in a way that was effective, I think he felt it was most appropriate to make sure it was heard appropriately.
I'm sorry, is that hard to say?
Thank you.
Did he express regret to you for these crimes?
I can't discuss specifically what conversations I have with my client one way or the other, but I think we've been clear in our expression in the courtroom what his sentiment is.
Did he meet with law enforcement and explain exactly what happened in each one of these cases?
I don't think that's information that we're prepared to answer at this time. Thank you.
Why not?
Does the statement of facts describe which was not read in court, and why was the statement of facts not read in court? And does that describe what happened to each of the victims in this case?
So the statement of facts is a stipulation that we entered into to help streamline this process, so that I thought it could go all of us easier and simpler for what's a very difficult day. The statement of facts is an agreement by us that is what the Commonwealth's evidence would have been in the case. It doesn't represent the full flavor of what a trial would have looked like. It doesn't include what defense would have been presented or what defense evidence that we were preparing would have presented. It merely was a recitation in our agreement and understanding that is evidence that the Commonwealth would have attempted to present, and that would have been sufficient for the court to enter a plea of guilty on these charges today.
For the people that weren't in court today, when the victim's families read their victim impact statement, it appeared that Jesse was affected by that. Can you describe what it was like for him, just from his facial expressions?
I think like everyone in the courtroom, I was paying attention to what they were saying and trying to honor and respect that, as I think Mr. Matthew was as well. I wasn't really paying attention to what his emotions were then. You would know better than I would.
Might he be implicated in any other cases, any other deaths?
I have no information of that whatsoever, no reason to believe that's the case, and it'd be ridiculous, I think, to believe so.
Did he say why he did it?
I'm sorry, I don't understand your question.
Why he did what he did?
I think we have expressed here today that what we're talking about is his decision here today to enter those guilty pleas, and his motivation for that, as we said, is to reach some finality for everyone and certainty going forward.
Has there ever been a psychiatric assessment of your client?
The information that we conducted in our defense, which we had looked for an opportunity to present at trial going forward, that trial's not going to happen now. And it's unfortunate in some ways that the community isn't going to see all the evidence that could have been presented from both sides in this case. Because this was a death penalty case, it was something where at a certain point in time Mr. Matthew couldn't risk his life any longer, and so that's why we took a resolution that was there that unfortunately prevented a full trial that might have enlightened the community more about every issue that was at play in this case.
Would you have pled not guilty by reason of insanity?
So we had already entered a plea of not guilty in the case previously, and that's as far as we've gotten so far.
What is your personal assessment of his mental health?
I'm not a psychologist or a mental health person. My personal assessment would be completely irrelevant.
Was
he questioned about other missing women as part of this plea agreement? Was he questioned at all about other cases?
So as the judge indicated when she went over the plea agreement with him, that agreement, as it's written, is the full, complete agreement. There have been no other promise inducements or anything there. If you want to see what the terms of that are, it's certainly available in the public record. There's been no other promises, inducements, other than what's in that written plea agreement. Thank you all. I appreciate it.
He's going to Department of Corrections.